So this is 2300 hours GMT on Friday, 18th of November 2022. And this is the Khoodeelaar television channel, part B of the day, broadcasting under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo. Baby Angel Geronimo lives in South Gloucester in southwest England. He is the bestest baby angel Geronimo, who was born in New Zealand and came to the UK in 2017 and has become the personification of the bestest that is there in creation, witnessing the worst behavior, cruelty, criminality, lack of compassion and care exhibited by the evil Boris Johnson, evil George Evil Eustace, Injustice Eustace, evil Christine Middlemiss in the UK DEFRA department. So, Baby Angel Geronimo is the witness to all the wrongdoings and is the upholder of all the right values and right things that should be done. So Baby Angel Geronimo is the witness overseeing all the bad things that are going on and monitoring all the bad things that are going on and observing the resistance, the struggle for justice, fairness, and truthfulness against all the bad things. Currently, the Baby Angel Geronimo is witnessing the latest incumbent at the number 10 Downing Street address, Rishi Sunak, who is being featured in the mainstream tabloid newspapers and the mainstream so-called media on Saturday, 19th of November 2022, as expressing fears for his two daughters. And he's speaking in the context of the violence against women, as highlighted by the murder of the latest, Alina. Zara Alina, he is mentioned. Zara Alina was murdered in the Cranbrook Road in Gants Hill in Ilford, very near her home while she was walking home. But Sunak is also talking in the wider context about violence against women. And this has been featuring, along with the statement published by the usually police supporting right-wing newspapers, by the new commissioner of the London Metropolitan Police, who is reportedly saying that it should be easier to sack criminals who are in the police. Now, these are not in any way, these sentiments and these opinions are not in any way new to our campaign and not to me. I have observed the deterioration of what nominal standard there were in the Metropolitan Police, say, 50 years ago. And over the last five decades, I have observed the deterioration while I have been among the people who have been robbed and looted and denied any service by the police, in the context of all the deterioration that I have just summarized. Say 50 years ago, it would be possible to call the police, London police, reporting a crime, and the police would almost always turn up. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable to think that police would turn up after being called on the emergency number 999. It happened in the actual New Road, London E1, 1HE in Stepney. At the beginning of the 1970s, when I called the police to report two racists who were shouting racist abuse from the next building, next door. Police came and actually arrested them. They actually arrested those two racists. Unbelievable, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable. Now, if I call the police against and report some racist behavior or criminals, it is more likely that the police would come and arrest me for daring, because I found myself at the receiving end of the police intimidation for daring to report police misconduct during the 1980s. That was the time when the Greater London Council had what it boasted of as the police committee. The police committee, fronted by the absolutely disgusting, dishonest Paul Botang. And the police committee had a unit called Police Committee Support Unit, which was full of liars, absolutely full of liars. And those criminals in the Police Committee Support Unit have since gone on to make careers, so-called. And one of the criminals has made a bigger career than could be imagined. But he has all forgotten about the existence of the Police Committee Support Unit. The Police Committee Support Unit had a number of racists operating under its banner. One of the racists was a solicitor woman called Christine Louise Christian. Louise Christian is a racist who later operated as an advisor to the mental slave Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, at the expense of London. Sadiq Khan is a disgrace because he knew and he has known about the predominantly racist composition and agenda of the police. As the incumbent in the post of the mayor, which is by what is called ex officio, that is by the dint of the post that he holds, he is also the so-called London Metropolitan Police Authority boss. But there is no sign, there is absolutely no sign that Sadiq Khan has any idea about what should be done to establish policing in London. There is no policing. And Sadiq Khan, as a dishonest careerist opportunist, servile to racists, has stuffed his office with mainly racist white women. The one being the police deputy mayor in the name of the policing, is a woman from Hackney, absolutely incompetent, totally dishonest, and is not in the slightest bit interested in establishing proper policing in London. So this is only the tip of the iceberg of the evidence that I can begin to cite in response to the overhyped promotion by the Telegraph Group and others of the current Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police in London, saying that it should be easier to sack criminals who are the police. This is a joke, stunt. This should never have been necessary to even say that it is difficult to sack criminals who are in the police. The police should have no place. The police should never have become a place for criminals to get the jobs as police. It should never have been possible. The fact that it has been possible, and that it has been possible for years and years and years, has not been an accident. Look at the record, look at the appearance, the political appearance of the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir the criminal Starmer. Keir Starmer is a criminal because shortly before he finished his stint as the Director of Public Prosecutions, Starmer added new hurdles against the most vulnerable people seeking help from the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP. And he did that, Keir Starmer did that without anyone forcing him to do that. It was his corrupt, criminal, cruel, personal instinct, the criminal. He is a sadist who wanted to penalize some of the most vulnerable people in society. So he criminalized their basic needs for help and made it even more difficult to seek and receive, legitimately seek and receive support from the UK central government department that exists supposedly to help people in that kind of condition. Starmer is the same criminal who last Wednesday, 2 days ago, I think, spoke to the BBC Radio 4 presenter, Justin Webb, I think. I'll check that name, but there was a sound kind of volume, sound report in which Justin asked the criminal Keir Starmer what Starmer would do about HS2. And the crook who must be acting as an agent in this context for big business criminals who want to fleece the UK public of billions and billions and billions of money under the pretext of the HS2. And this criminal Starmer said, and he said without any authority, the Labour Party, the Labour movement has no commitment, no need for any commitment for acting as an agency, as a tool for the big business. And yet he mispronounced and misuttered the name of the Labour Party. And he said Labour would implement HS2 in full. Sack the criminal. Because even Esther McBee is a right-wing woman, conservative MP. She spoke eloquently about the vanity project, the unnecessary vanity project HS2. And there are others in the quote conservative party who are reluctantly coming to the conclusion that HS2 is a liability, too much of a liability, political liability, economic liability, fiscal liability. And yet Starmer, the criminal crook, liar, without showing any emotion, like the criminal on trial, he showed no emotion, no remorse. So we go back to the witness, baby angel Geronimo. When Starmer was asked in 2021 what he thought about the campaign in defense of the baby angel Geronimo against the DEFRA evil and others, evil Keir Starmer said that he supported the attacks on baby angel Geronimo. So that is the measure of the evil that Keir Starmer is. And I say evil in the Quranic sense, in the sense as defined in the Surah Al-Isra. This shaitan is a supporter of the shaitan, this Keir Starmer. Bad news, Keir Starmer is. Everything Keir Starmer represents is proof that he is an agent of shaitan. And all good people who are opposed to shaitan, have no option but to oppose Keir Starmer, the shaitan, the Iblis, the devil. So the policing, the comment that the two so-called guests appearing on Sky News press preview so-called slot, doing the preview so-called, allegedly doing the preview of the so-called Fleet Street newspapers of Saturday. They refer to this statement by Rishi Sunak about Sunak's fears about the safety of women in the context of his having two daughters. And also the reported statement by the current Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police in London, saying that it should be easier to sack criminals who are in the police. That is my paraphrase. But neither the presenter nor the two guests came anywhere near kind of recalling or connecting the reality with their kind of comments. They came across as aliens landed there from somewhere outer space, unfamiliar with London, unfamiliar with Britain, unfamiliar with the litany of criminality committed by criminals under the protection of the cover of the police force. The worst case, of course, has been the kidnap, rape, murder, and burning of Sarah Everard. by policeman Wayne Couzens. When the commissioner of the police, when Wayne Couzens was recruited, was a woman called Cressida Dick. Now, what difference did Cressida Dick, being a woman, make in doing anything in the police to prevent the entry of criminals like murderers like Wayne Couzens getting access into the police job, in the uniform? Not only that, when the women protested in a peaceful vigil, women staged a peaceful vigil in honor of Sarah Everard. What did the police do, the Metropolitan Police? They behaved very rough. As the images of Patsy Stevenson, one woman who became the focus in the images that were distributed, sums up the brazen cruelty that is allowed to dominate the police behavior in London, Metropolitan Police. Okay, Mark, what is this current commissioner? What's his second name? Whatever he says about the need to be able to sack criminals who are in the police, what did he have to say about the victimization of Patsy Stevenson and other protesters? What did he say or have to say about the targeting of Patsy Stevenson by as many as 30 or more Serbian police who targeted her and sent brazenly sexist images? I mean, what is going on? This is not policing. Anyone who calls it policing, of course, has got their senses of the words completely wrong. Let's see what this man's full name is. I'm not certain, so I'm not giving his name without checking his name. Let's see what his name is, this commissioner in post at the present time. And let's see what his name is. Well, I mean, I half suspected that I had the name almost right, and I think it is right. His surname is Rowley. And let's see his entry on the Wikipedia. That's what I'm doing. I mean, he has already got a knighthood behind him. He's got a picture of 2000, picture taken in 2010 is beaming, grinning. So he has been in post from the 12th of September 2022. I mean, it's embarrassing to see the list of these people. Home Secretary Suella Braverman, and then Mayor Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan is completely, absolutely traceless. So how many honors has he got? I mean, there is a long list of honors. Knight Bachelor, Queen's Police Medal, Queen Elizabeth II Golden Jubilee Medal, Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal, Police Long Service and Good Conduct Medal. I mean, these medals discredit the word honors. And Brenda, alias Queen Elizabeth II, was misused by the establishment in automatically conferring so many honors on so many people. The majority of the people, I'm not saying Mark Rowley is one of them, but the absolute vast majority of the people who have been given these so-called honors are absolutely not deserving of these honors. Full stop. And there is nothing to stop them getting this. As the criminal, depraved, Boris Johnson's depraved list of degenerates shows. So, where do you begin? Criminals, wrongdoers, careerists, opportunists, liars dominate the whole establishment. That's what it is. Whereas the concept of policing is the opposite of all these. And you cannot have proper, fair, just policing in a country, in a society where fairness and justice are not the dominating forces in the distribution of power, the exercise of power, and the abuse of power, because there is no real countervailing, auditing force or process in place. And as I said, with a criminal like Keir Starmer being in post as the so-called leader of the opposition, I mean, there cannot be any more bigger piece of proof that as far as civil liberties, justice, and freedom are concerned, Britain is in the darkest place. That is bad enough. Then you add Suella Braverman, Cruella, eviler. She's eviler by the step, crueler by the step. And there exists the stunning evidence that despite the fact that he has reportedly got headlines for the Saturday's media as being caring and concerned and almost human, Rishi Sunak actually celebrates and promotes Suella, Cruella, Eviler, Braverman. How? Because one of his first response in the first PMQs that he appeared on, he quite wrongly, inaccurately praised Suella Braverman, saying that Braverman, as Home Secretary, was going to increase the number of policing by several thousand. And he concluded, illogically and without any proof, that showed that his government and Braverman were meaning business and they were dealing with criminals, completely forgetting and completely being in denial of the evidence that policing does not exist. And that sheer mouthing of a number about the police increase in the recruitment of the police does not amount to police being recruited. It could mean, as the Times has admitted on the front page recently, that criminals and wrongdoers and perpetrators of assorted other criminality were entering the police in large numbers. That shows that Sunak was very careless in making that boastful statement about the police numbers being recruited. And there is no sign of any auditing, either by the police authority, which is supposed to be Sadiq Khan, or the post holder incumbent in the post of the mayor at the expense of London. And there is nothing in Parliament that is really auditing the police, despite the fact that there are so many select committees apparently looking at issues to do with departmental kind of responsibilities, for example, the Home Office and its departmental responsibilities. The Home Affairs Select Committee, whoever chairs, is a kind of false exhibition that some kind of scrutiny is taking place. It is not. And if you look back on the record of a long number of years of Keith Sleaze Vaz being allowed to be chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, you can find that he was himself a criminal who overdid the hype, his own promotions, by abusing the fact that he was chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. So there was no real debate. There was absolutely no debate based on the evidence of the police behavior during Keith Sleaze Vaz's time, long time, too long, in the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. And if it is another chair succeeded by whoever succeeded Sleaze Vaz, it has not made any difference whatsoever. So we are in the dark again. And why Sleaze Vaz was Home Affairs Committee chair, nobody else got any mention in the media. And I don't believe that anybody else on that committee, so-called, was able to get there if they had a skeptical opinion differing from the opinion of servile Sleaze Vaz. Well, of course, Sleaze Vaz got caught in real sleaze many times over. I forced him to apologize at a public meeting, apologize to me at a public meeting pretty early on after he got elected in the late 1980s, and he visited Tower Hamlets. And this criminal made an offensive, grotesquely sinister, untruthful insinuation. And I said to the criminal, I went to the chair where we were sitting, and in front of the chair who was chairing the meeting, a man who was later a Bangladesh politician and minister called Syed Ashraful Islam. And I said to Shitbaz, I said, if he didn't apologize, he would not be living in the same state. He would not be leaving the meeting in the same state that he came in. So it was absolutely the correct thing for Syed Ashraf to stand and say that he wanted Sleaze Vaz to apologize. Ashraf didn't mention me by name, but he said words to the effect that the guest speaker should apologize to a member of the audience for the remark that he, Sleazebaz, had made. And Sleazebaz did make a profuse apology. Now that is how bad, how corrupt, and how morally weak this cunt is. And he was one of the 4 black section champions that the racist crooks in the Labour Party promoted. Him, Diane Darty Abbott, Paul Brazen Boateng, and the thug Barney Grant. Barney Grant actually beat up a man, and when he was prosecuted, he said he was being prosecuted for political motives. He wasn't. He was a thug. And he did beat up a man, Asian man, an Indian man, I think. And the prosecution was absolutely based on the evidence. And what did they contribute to the cause of accountability, audit, and whatever? Nothing. In fact, Boateng became a disgrace. When Tony Blair gave him the job as the envoy, the British envoy to South Africa, I mean, what a disgrace. I mean, Boateng did nothing but commit all kinds of capitulation to his imperious wife, Janet Boateng, who drew so many headlines for her cruelty regime at the British diplomatic mission, which was a big mission in South Africa. So this is the Khoodeelaar television channel broadcasting on the internet, not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable. This is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast under the banner of the baby angel Geronimo. Baby angel Geronimo tells the truth, witnesses all the wrongdoings, and tells the truth. And baby angel Geronimo is the personification of justice, fairness, universality, as opposed to the corruption, criminality, depravity of the British government and British state agencies. And in this particular edition, that is being dedicated to the examination of the absence of proper policing in this country, the wrongdoings in the police, the wrongdoings in the name of the police, wrongdoings under the cover of the police. And we say to Sarah Aberard and our soul, rest in eternal peace. We say to Zara Alina, who was murdered in the Cranbrook Road in Gans Hill in Ilford, rest in eternal peace. And we say all the other women and victims of sexist murders and criminality and the failure of the police, all these women, girls, and children, rest in eternal peace. And we hope that something happens in society that actually raises the level of political discourse from the current state of death or deadly survey kind of capitulation and surrender to awakening, if not to the level happening in Pakistan under the leadership of Imran Khan in the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf movement. there's something approaching. A fraction of that happens. Because millions of people in Britain, millions of people of all backgrounds in Britain have been deprived of justice and fairness for too long. And despite the propaganda that is being kind of sought, cultivated, and being given to cultivated by and given to Rishi Sunak, Sunak will have to do much better, much better than rely on the spin. I mean, his body language of romancing with the likes of Macron, and after the delivery of the autumn statement by Jeremy Hunt, putting his hand on Hunt's body and congratulating him, this is not doing any good to him. Because Hunt is a violator of some of the most precious initiatives in this society. I mean, Hunt is a perpetrator of crimes against the National Health Service. Too long he was in post as the Secretary of State in the name of the Health Service. And this Hunt is now being congratulated by Rishi Sunak. For what? Hunt's autumn statement has been correctly interpreted by most of the newspapers as being wrong. And the Daily Mail, even the Daily Mail, distanced itself from the Jeremy Hunt attacks on living standards, etc., etc. And one of the pieces it ran has been headed, I thought I voted the Conservatives, but it doesn't. But obviously I didn't. And as I said, the fact that the likes of Esther McVie have been voicing concern about the vanity project HS2 completes the real picture of evil in this country, being evil in dominance. Because as one of the campaigning commentators has said on a video, the HS2 technology itself is bad and obsolete. And by the time the HS2, if it is built on schedule, I mean as scheduled, if it is built, and if it is built on time, then the technology, HS2 technology will have become too obsolete by then, because technology is moving fast. So that aspect is something that we have not focused on too much until this man made this point, which is a valid point. Because it's, as Esther McVie said in a later interview, initially the HS2 budget was 40 billion. From that 40 billion, it has escalated to 150 billion already. Now, where on earth do they find this kind of huge money to stuff into the pockets of big business while starving the millions in this country? This is the question that we shall be asking and seeking answers to always. Back to the events in Pakistan. I think the long march that Imran Khan has been heading is still ongoing. And the complaints that Imran Khan and the Tehreek-e-Insaf have against the various government agencies in Pakistan over the refusal by these agencies, the corrupt refusal by these agencies to file or allow the filing of first information reports about crimes that are being committed, including the attempted murder of Imran Khan. These will be followed up and these will be checked. But currently, there is no movement towards the Pakistan government or agencies allowing the FIRs to be filed. And that only adds to the ground of evidence which justifies the need for a revolution, political democratic revolution in Pakistan, which is ongoing. But it is far from reaching the point that it should do. And I think, although the Indian newspapers are not admitting it, the months long political marches and rallies fronted by Imran Khan in Pakistan, these have been having very, very unprecedented, silent so far, response among the ordinary people in India. So many in India would wish that such jalsas, such gatherings and rallies and marches were taking place in India itself against the corrupt status quo of the Hindutva based BJP fronted by the criminal against humanity, Narendra Modi. And the fact that Modi was celebrating India's futuristic technology, reliable technology, almost within hours of the massacre of the innocent people on the Morbi Bridge was happening in Gujarat. And the fact that the Morbi Bridge was allowed to stay even tokenistically open to be used shows that the Indian central government and local governments that are supposed to be monitoring the safety, public safety of projects like that, this safety factor doesn't exist. So Modi should be prosecuted for falsifying the evidence and boasting instead of admitting the very lethal deficiencies. So Morbi should be translated into Morbi, that is the death of the career of the liar Narendra Modi. And we shall be covering these and more items in the next edition. This is the ending of this program, this edition, just short of 50 minutes long at 23:49 hours GMT on Friday the 18th of November 2022.